Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Hamilton, and we're here for another art lesson. Today, we're going to be making open mouth surprise fish. We are going to have a pleasant fish to begin with, like I have here, just swimming along. And when it opens its mouth, rah, there's a surprise. And we're going to really have fun with lines and patterns, color, we're going to be working with folded paper. I hope you really enjoy making this art lesson. We're going to go ahead and get started. For our open mouth fish surprise, the materials that we are going to need, white paper. I'm using construction size paper, which is 9 by 12, but you can use copy paper if you like, or any white paper that's available. You can even use construction paper if you want. I have these instructions that I have attached to the details below. If you'd like to use them, they have all the steps as well as some ideas for the fins when you get to that point. But I'm going to go through all that in the video, or you can use the instructions, up to you. Pencil if you like, just in case you're afraid of making mistakes. I'm going to draw directly on mine with Sharpie instead, but if you want to start with pencil, you may. And then the last thing I'm going to be using today is markers. I'm going to color everything in. However, you can use any materials that you have available, color pencils, crayons, oil pastels, paints, anything you'd like to use, you can use instead of markers. But I'm going to be using markers today. The reason why I use a Sharpie instead of the black marker in the Mr. Sketch is because if I trace with a Mr. Sketch or even a Crayola marker, and then I start filling in, that black marker tends to blend or smudge into my bright colors, and I don't want that. Where if I start with a Sharpie marker or a permanent marker, I don't have the smudging that you normally would get when you start filling in color next to the Sharpie line. So I'm going to be tracing with Sharpie and then filling with color. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the steps. All right, before we start folding up our paper, first thing you need to make sure you do is make sure to turn the paper what I call vertical hamburger, or where it's tall up and down. You're going to grab the bottom of your paper. I'm going to put that over just a little bit. Grab the bottom of your paper, lift, match up the two corners together, hold it with your helper hand, and then press and fold the crease to start a crease. Okay. After you do that, you're going to take the top of the flap, the part that opens, we're going to leave the bottom flat, and we're going to fold it over again, folding downward. We're going to match up our corners again to the bottom two corners, hold it with our helper hand, and press and fold. This is going to make the opening surprise mechanism. See, just like that, real easy. We're going to keep it folded to start. Then we're going to take a pencil or Sharpie, whichever you choose is perfectly fine. We're going to start with the top. Now, where our fold is, we want to pay attention to the fold because we want to hide things until it's open and reveal. And we want to make sure certain things stay above the fold and some things stay below the fold. We don't want them to overlap. So we're going to start with the top of our fish body, and I'm going to start with one side above the fold, very important. I'll make a little mark because that's where the top of the fish is going to go, and I'm going to curve up. I'm going to leave a little space at the top so I can put a fin. I'm going to curve up and around, and I'm going to stop maybe right about here. If you want to start with some marks, that's fine, or you can just take your drawing nice and slow. So I'm going to take it nice and slow, making what I call the frowny curve. I went a little past my mark, but that's fine. And I left some extra space for the fin. And I might bring this down just a little more, just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to bring up from this point that we stopped at, I'm going to make a diagonal line, leaving a little space on the side for the side of the fin. So this is for our tail. So we're going to go to upward diagonal line. Then I'm going to do a little bit of the bottom of my fish. Again, leaving a little space underneath for the bottom fins. I'm going to draw a curve starting under or on the fold. See, here's the fold. You can see where the top of the fish starts. I'm going to make sure I draw the bottom of the fish on the actual folded part. And I want it to stop right before we get to the fold and right above where the tail is going to start. When we're done, we're going to make a downward diagonal. Remember, don't go to the end of the paper. Leave a little bit of space, just like that. Okay. All right, now you can do a little bit of designing for your fish on that instruction sheet. There are several different top fin, bottom fins, and then tail designs. We're also going to put a side fin in just a moment. So I'm going to leave this here. We've got some zigzags, smooth curve, wavy lines, and bump lines, as I call them. I'm going to do I will do the zigzag lines this time. Okay. So I'm keeping this closed. We're not worrying about what it's going to look like yet. And I'm going to start the top fin, and I'm going to go out in like a zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. Zigzag, zigzag, zig, and come back. We want to do the 2 bottom fins. Now you could choose one of the other options for the bottom fins. I like to keep my top and bottom fins similar. I feel like it goes with the fish, and I'm going to do a zigzag or a triangle. And fish have usually two small fins at the bottom. And then the tail, you could do a totally different tail than what I'm doing. You could do something from the other options, but I'm going to keep it all the same. All right, so zigzag, zigzag, and then zigzag, zigzag. We are going to be overlapping our fold, and that's fine because we'll be able to hide where the space in between, okay? Now we're going to do a little bit of a side fin. Now this is also important where you put the top and the bottom. So the top of the side fin, I'm going to start above the fold. Here's my fold. I'm pointing to it right here. I'm going to go above with an upward diagonal. See, so, and then I'm going to do the bottom with a downward diagonal, just like the tail. And see, they're on different parts. And then I'm going to connect with another zigzag. You can do wavy lines, you can do bump lines, you can do a straight line. Okay, there is my fin so far. So that's what we've got so far, but we're still got a little bit to go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the face. We're going to give it a little mouth and head face, a fish face. All right, I'm going to do the mouth. Now, here's the thing. We're going to have a closed mouth and an open mouth. So when we do the mouth line, which is the closed mouth, we want the line to be above the fold. So I'm going to draw a line starting at the tip, and I'm just going to have it curve up just a little bit with a little lulu. So it looks friendly. We want it to look friendly. And then I'm going to put a little fish eye. Round. Fish eyes are on the sides of the body. We can only see forward, but fish can see all around. And I'm going to make this, again, I want this to look like a friendly fish. So I'm going to have a nice cartoony, friendly eye, fish eye, just like that. All right, we're going to open him up and then do the surprise part. Going to open him up. All right, so we are going to do the mouth. I'm going to have the mouth, I'm going to come in just a little bit because I do not want the inside of the mouth to be seen. See, I'm going to close so you can't really see it if I start right there. So I'm coming in a little bit. I want it to become part of the smile. I want to go straight down until I get up above. There's a fold right here. That's where, when it's closed, and I want it to go right above that fold, just like that. And then I'm going to add some very sharp teeth with zigzag lines, zigzag, zigzag, or triangles. Zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. Okay. Looking very, very scary, like he's ready to chomp something. And then we're going to close the fins. So you can see where the fins have opened up. So we need to finish up and connect those fins. Zigzag. Again, you could be doing wavy lines. Now remember, don't let it go past the crease above and below, or you're going to see a little bit of your drawing that you don't want seen. Going to close up the tail. Just like that. So just to give you an example, happy fish, sweet fish. Roar. All right, so the last couple things you can do for some details. Sometimes I've done it where I've done like a fish tongue. I mean, fish tongues aren't really a thing, but this is kind of cartoony. We can use our imagination like, blah. And maybe the fish is getting ready to chomp a tiny little minnow. So maybe two curves, a frowny curve and a smiley curve, and then diagonal lines, and then close it and have a little bloop bloop. If he doesn't know what's going on, get some fish food. You could have some bubbles coming up. Now, this is going to be in the areas we see when it's closed, but that's okay. Maybe some bubbles like that. You can even fill up, you know, some bubbles. You could put something in the background even. You could have like other fish swimming around if you want. I'm just giving a few little fun ideas, fun details. The other thing that you could do is you could give your fish some patterns when you do your color. You want to make sure that you start with this closed so you can see how it's going to look closed and then finish up when you reopen. So for instance, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go grab some of my markers. Now, if you use pencil, you might want to grab a Sharpie or a permanent marker and trace over your pencil lines. You can then erase any mistakes that you have. I don't need to do that because I used a Sharpie. And the thing about Sharpie is if you mess it up, just dress it up, make it part of the picture. All right, for my colors, I am using 2 blues for the background. I wanted to have some fun with the color in the background. And then I'm going to be using a bunch of warm, bright colors on my fish. One of the reasons for this is because I'm thinking about how blue, the cool colors I'm using, these are cool colors, and they're going to be pretty dark as well. And I want my fish to not blend. I don't want it to blend into the background. I want it to pop out. So one of the things I've mentioned in previous lessons is about contrasting colors. When you put warm colors against cool colors, for instance, my background's cool, my fish is warm, my fish is really going to pop because warm colors like to pop out. If I put bright colors or light colors next to dark colors, again, the light colors are going to pop out. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how my fish will really pop and stand out. Now, what I was saying about adding some details on the fish so that it continues through the open, closed and open design. So for instance, let's say I want to do some different types of stripes. Maybe I want orange and yellow stripes and then the fins to be pink. I don't know, be creative with this. So for instance, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put my marker lids on the back, just like when I talk about class. And I'm going to start with this closed, and I'm going to maybe add a starting stripe. I'll make this a little thicker. I'm going to skip and leave a space because I'm going to add orange in the middle. I like to usually start with one color and my lightest color first so that I don't get it dirty after a while, because when you do a darker color and then you take this really light yellow and you start coloring next to it, oftentimes you dirty up your marker. So this is a little tip on how to keep your markers a little cleaner. Okay, I'm going to add maybe one more right here. And then I'm going to grab my orange and I'm going to like to trace first and then fill. That is what I always do with markers. I trace first and then I fill. I'm just going to do a couple of these striped patterns. Now, I did it when it's closed, so when it's open, it kind of gives me a guide. You see that? So be careful though, you don't want to color through your fin. You might even want to do your side fin first. So I'll do that as well real quick. Let me put this here for a second. Grab my pink because I'm going to do a pink fin on all my fins. Again, trace first. And you see the black Sharpie is not smudging. That's why it's awesome as an outline. It does really good for outlining. So that's what it looks like closed. This is what it looks like open. And this is what I mean by using the closed version as a guide. So now I know where I'm going with my pink fin, and I'm coloring it in, see? Also, and same thing with the orange stripe, I would bring the orange stripe down, I bring the yellow stripe down. Also, I'm going to do for my water, you could keep this open, but if you want to make sure things line up well, you might want to close first. I'm going to do dark and light. I might put like a wave pattern in it. So like, for instance, a wavy line, and I'm going to have it go behind my fish. My bubbles are going to stay white, and I'm just going to add a little bit of blue, light blue. And then I was thinking in between, I'll do a darker blue texture. You can have fun with this, or you can just fill it blue. Don't want to go through my tail too much. And then open it up and finish the areas that need to be finished. All right, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to work on this for a little bit, and then I'll be back to show you the final. All right, here is my finished, my happy little fish. And then I'm going to open and reveal, rawr, my hungry fish who's ready to chomp on some minnows. So you can see I finished up all the color, and I used patterns, and I used warm colors for the fish and cool colors for the background. And I did sort of like a wavy pattern. I didn't really try and fill it perfectly. I liked the texture of the water, but you could do it a little differently. It's up to you. I have one little minnow, but you could have something else he's getting ready to chomp on. You could really have fun with this. If you want to make it a little girly, you could add some lashes or something else, add more details. I would love to see what you all come up with, and I hope you enjoy the lesson. All right, keep creating. I'll see you soon. Bye.